Now, in your running back rankings, I don't know if you had in your first edition where you had Brian Robinson there, but what's your first reactions about Kliff Kingsbury, the impact it could have on a player like Brian Robinson, especially with Antonio Gibson, a free agent this offseason?
I'll talk about the running backs quickly because it's not much of a conversation yet, unfortunately. And then I'll talk about how much I like this hiring here for Kingsbury with the Commanders. Running backs wise, Bob, on my first edition of the ranking release on football.razzball.com, where all of our articles lie and you can go check out for free, I only released my top 24. I did a lot of research on those top 24. I feel great about that group. There's way too many question marks after that right now with the draft coming up, free agency, all these other things to like really go deeper on running backs. Unfortunately, neither one of these running backs made my top 24. More unfortunately, they are barely a running back 3 right now with many other questions coming in. So they will fit into that middle to back end RB3 territory. So probably like RB 30 to 36, I would imagine. But there's a lot of double ups right now and question marks. Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford with the Browns, Rico Dowdle, Tony Pollard with the Cowboys, Zaire White and Josh Jacobs with the Raiders, Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears with the Titans, and then J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards with the Ravens. Depending on how all of those shake out, that'll be making some room, I guess, for one of these guys. Brian Robinson is my favorite of the two, just as an NFL player, as a prospect, and as a fantasy asset as well. When he came up as a rookie, Bobby mentioned it multiple times. Let's not forget, folks, this kid got shot in the leg last year and barely even got it twice and barely even got going for the second half of the season. After that, he became a workhorse. You guys know I love my Alabama running backs. It's hard for me to fade that. So I give him a nudge there anyway. He was RB21 in PPR. Antonio Gibson was RB36. Gibson over 4 years has been trending the wrong direction. And Brian Robinson, of course, had a upgrade from rookie season to this year as well. 9 total touchdowns for Brian Robinson. 5 games of top 15 PPR finishes. He's a back-end RB3, as I said right now, but I could see him kind of in that front-end RB3. Double digits in just 3 times carrying the ball for Antonio Gibson. 3 total touchdowns. He might be an RB4. He really is kind of an auxiliary back right now. I really like the workload in general, the upside for touchdowns there for Brian Robinson. So he is far and away my favorite of the two. Both of them right now, back end RB3s. If I could just take another minute of Matt's time here to check in on Kliff Kingsbury in general, I really, really like this hire. The Cardinals were up against it a couple years ago when he got his first opportunity as a head coach. And that division is very good with the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Rams, when he was there. Like, he just didn't really have a chance with a rookie quarterback, not many weapons, whatever. I don't think Washington makes a move on Dallas or Philadelphia anytime soon, but I do think that they could be better than the Cardinals were in general. Dial all the way back, Kliff Kingsbury actually cut his teeth as the OC, offensive coordinator for Johnny Manziel back in the day, who, oh, by the way, was a Heisman candidate as a freshman, 93 total yards and 10 total touchdowns and 10,000 total yards of offense there at Texas A&M underneath Kliff Kingsbury. Then he goes to Texas Tech. He has Patrick Mahomes. Of course, he has turned into arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. And then he gets Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray then becomes the rookie of the year with the Cardinals as well. Career highs, 4,000 yards passing, 26 total yards, and Pro Bowl honors as well. So the development of a quarterback is crucial. Derek talked about that. I think they are going to go with Caleb Williams, who I don't think will be the best quarterback of this draft class, but time will tell. I'll get into that draft season. But they played together at USC. He was the offensive coordinator, head coach, whatever. And then you had the quarterback there. So they have that buddy system already coming into the pros. So Caleb Williams will be his guy. They'll move up to 1. Make it work. But Jaden Daniels will actually be my favorite quarterback of this draft class, but I'll save that for a couple more months.
Well, I mean, the mobile quarterback thing is interesting, right? Like, because if he has the experience with Kyler Murray, maybe Caleb Williams, they can't move up. Maybe the Bears want him. Does the Jaden Daniels thing, do you think he'd be a good fit for kind of the things he did with Kyler Murray?
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Jaden Daniels, I think, is a better athlete. He's more of a Kyler Murray quarterback, more like Lamar Jackson. But Caleb is going to be his pick. They already know each other. If he's going to make a move to quarterback, Like Jaden Daniels will not be picked.
Oh, they
by
have the
Bears.
second. What I'm saying, they have the second pick, right? So let's say the Bears won't make the trade. They want to take Caleb, right? If they end up staying at 2,
oh well, then yeah.
Do you think Daniels is the pick there, and he's a good fit?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was just saying that the Bears are not going to take Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams.
Right.
So if they don't move up, he won't have to make that decision. But I do think he does because everybody's talking of Caleb Williams. I'm a Pac-12 guy, man. I watch every single USC game. I'm just not a big Caleb Williams fan. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing I love about, by the way, you know me, the guy that I've been a big fan of is James Conner. James Conner, by the way, was an absolute workhorse in this scheme. But even prior to James Conner, remember they brought in Kenyon Drake. And that 2019 season, they brought in Kenyon Drake. Remember the second half where he was like, on fire, like he was going off the second half for the Arizona Cardinals. The second year, they moved him into a bell cow role. He didn't really perform as well for fantasy, but because of that second half, he was like a borderline first-round pick that year in 2020. So, he ended up scoring 10 touchdowns. Then James Conner back-to-back PPR finishes in the top 10 in points per game. Now, the thing I love about the whole role, too, he was 5th in targets amongst running backs in 2021, and he was 12th in 2022 under Kliff Kingsbury, James Conner, only 13 games played. So, they used them as a complete workhorse. In 2022, he had an 83% rush share, which is absurd. So if Brian Robinson, and the other problem is we always like to bring this up, right? Other coaching staff comes in, they like their guys, right? So we don't know if Sky brought up, we know a free agency can come in, Kliff Kingsbury can bring another guy in, they could draft somebody, of course. But if it ends up being Brian Robinson, he has a big time opportunity, especially if Gibson is on the move. So I love this for Brian Robinson, especially because I was high on him last year. Now,